I turned 36 staring at a cake I didn't want 36 candles sweating into blue frosting, while a crystal chandelier threw little shadows around a table set for 12 and filled by one. Me signing happy birthday to myself, because that's what you do when you're deaf and alone in a house big enough to echo even without sound. And I remember thinking, if success tastes like this, maybe I've been hungry for the wrong thing. Next morning, I put on a red sweater, told my driver to take the day off, and walked to Riverside Park like a normal guy who can choose a bench without a calendar. The sun was warm, families everywhere. A dad pushing a swing too high, teenagers missing frisbees on purpose, an older couple feeding ducks like it's a mission. And I was reading faces the way we read the world. Shoulders, eyes, breath. When I saw her, a woman in a green dress with a colorful headband, hands moving like water signing to a boy who looked 8 or 9 and answered back even faster. 5 years in this city, and I had never stumbled into people signing in public for joy. Not for a meeting, not for me, just for each other. And before I could overthink it, I stood, walked over, palms up, and signed hello, sorry to interrupt, I'm deaf too. She studied me like any mom would, then smiled, signed, I'm Naomi, this is my son Tyler. And Tyler grinned like we were already friends. Are you really deaf like me? And something in my chest loosened. The park got brighter, and suddenly I wasn't working to exist in a room, I was just in it. We sat on their blanket, no interpreter, no notes, app, just our language moving the air. I told them I lost my hearing at 12 after a car accident, that I run a company building tech for deaf and hard of hearing folks. Tyler asked if I had robots and if he could see them. Naomi said she learned sign when he was born because she wanted to meet her kid where he is not. Drag him where everyone else feels comfortable, she said it like talking about the weather. But I heard what it cost. Time, patience, people's opinions. And I swear that simple choice hit me harder than any trophy on my office wall. When they started packing up, I felt that old panic. Sweet moment ends, loneliness resumes. So I signed, would you maybe do coffee, sometime ice cream for him? It's been a while since I met people who sign, and Naomi nodded like she'd already made up her mind. Tomorrow at 3. And just like that, I had something to count down to, besides meetings and automated birthday emails. The cafe was small and cozy with local art. I grabbed a corner table with good light because light matters. When your language is your hands. They walked in and I felt hope hit me like a soft punch. Tyler wanted to see my phone. You probably have cool deaf apps, right? So I opened our speech to text, set it on the table, and as a woman nearby talked about the farmer's market, her words crawled across the screen. Tyler's jaw dropped like I'd pulled a rabbit from a hat. And when the server came, Naomi did this simple, beautiful thing. Spoke and signed at the same time, so I was in it, not around it. 2 minutes that told me more about her than an hour of small talk. We ate cookies, and a muffin laughed, and got honest. Tyler loves math and art, but hates writing because his teacher doesn't sign. And he's always behind. Naomi works days at the hospital billing department, and nights cleaning offices to keep him in a program that barely serves him, the school that actually fits. Riverside Academy for the Deaf is an hour away and way out of reach. I knew the school my company had donated equipment. I knew what it could do to a kid's confidence, and an idea that had been pacing my brain all week finally sat down. I told her about my scholarship fund, how we could expand it, how the application would be about promise and need, not pity. She watched my face like she'd seen generosity turn into a leash before Tyler followed every sign like a tennis match. Teachers who sign kids like me not being the only one. Yes, I signed, and he lit up. Naomi's hands trembled, pride fighting hope. And then Tyler signed, "Please, Mom, I want to understand everything." And she said, "Yes," a whisper with her voice and a thunderclap with her hands. and I felt my heartbeat rewrite itself. 3 weeks later, he was enrolled, and the change was immediate. New friends, teachers who actually look at you, inside jokes in a language that isn't a chore. And I started bringing dinner to their apartment, a small place that felt more like home than my mansion ever did, art on the fridge, a couch that squeaked plants. You had to dodge. Tyler showed off a volcano science project, and the sign for explosion with full-body commitment. We laughed, and after he went to bed, we sat in the lamplight with tea. Naomi said, "You're good with him," and I told her he's easy to be good with, because she made it safe for him to be himself, she said. She worries she isn't enough, that he needs a father figure who understands the world from his side, and I told her the truth. The best thing I've ever seen a parent give a kid is the freedom to be exactly who they are. She moved closer, said, "I need to say this. I have feelings for you. I'm not wealthy. I'm stretched thin, my life is complicated," and I took her hands. "Look at me, you're not a complication. You're clarity. I've had feelings since the park, and no, I didn't help Tyler to get to you. I helped him because someone should have helped me when I was 12. And when we kissed, it wasn't fireworks. It was a door unlocking from the inside." Then came the twist. It always comes right when the air feels safe. A rainy Saturday, Tyler at a sleepover, us on the couch. Naomi said his father reached out. After 3 years of silence, he wants to see Tyler. And you could taste the fear in the room. What if he has money? What if he tries for custody? What if our calm is paper thin? And the day he showed at the school, he looked like a success story. With good hair and a loud voice, smiled. Like apologies should be graded on charm, tried to talk to a kid who communicates with his eyes and his hands, not his volume. And Tyler just stood there, small and steady, and signed, "Why now?" Naomi didn't translate. I didn't rescue. We let the man answer, and when he rolled his eyes at the idea of learning sign, when he threw a line about me buying a school, Naomi stood like a lighthouse. "You left because our son was deaf. You want back in, you do the work, beginner ASL on Tuesdays, 12 weeks, then we talk." And here's the part that surprised even me. He took the class, yeah. He still talks too loud. Yeah, he wants credit for effort. But he shows up, he asks his son questions and waits for the answer. And growth is messy, you know what I mean. By then, I'd already felt the itch to build something bigger than one scholarship at a school picnic. I watched parents swap stories like survival maps, transportation insurance, IEPs that feel like interrogation rooms. And I told Naomi, let's take this further. Not just tuition, a real foundation that covers tech rides, interpreters, parent mentors, policy work, so kids like Tyler aren't playing uphill their whole lives. I asked her to run it because she understands the grind from the kitchen table side, not the boardroom, she said. "I don't have nonprofit experience," I said. "Experience is teachable. Your spine isn't." And we built Silent Dreams Foundation out of late-night notes and community wish lists, launched with scholarships, microgrants, a parent network that multiplied faster than my press releases. Local news did a 2-minute segment between a house fire and baseball highlights. And it was perfect because the point wasn't me. It was families breathing easier for the first time in years. The night of our launch, I took them back to the park, where it started. Strung soft lights in the old oak gathered a circle of our people. Teachers, kids, parents, interpreters took Naomi's hands and signed what had been true for months. A year ago, I measured my life by zeros and square footage. Then you signed hello, and suddenly my language had a home again. You turned my resources into meaning. And Tyler, you taught me to be proud of who I am, not in spite of being deaf, but because of how it shaped my eyes, my patience, my grit. Then I dropped to one knee, asked Naomi to marry me, and asked Tyler if he'd let me be his dad. And that kid bounced like a spring. "Yes, yes, yes." Naomi said yes with tears, and a laugh, hands raised all around us in deaf applause, not thunder better. We got married in the school garden, vows, signed under paper lanterns, music you could see and feel. Hearing guests, learned a few basic signs at the table, and watched a room communicate without panic. Tyler emceed like he was born for it. And then life did what life does. Turned into Tuesday. Breakfast, clutter, grant applications, a model rocket on the table, a captioning model on my laptop, a quiet that felt full, not empty. Here's the question I wrestle with, and the one I want you to argue with me about in the comments. When help comes with power attached, is it still help? When a father shows up after years of absence, do you shut the door or crack it and risk the draft? When the world offers access on its terms, do we take the seat or build a new table and invite everyone in? Tell me where you land. Tell me what you've seen. And if any part of this hit home, anger, hope, that ache behind your ribs, hit subscribe, share it with someone who needs to hear that different isn't broken. And drop your story below. Who was right? Who was wrong? And what would justice look like if we designed it with our hands instead of our voices?